get this started. And I hope everyone's having a good time, doing something cool, fun, and not hurting anyone else. But anyway, okay, I'm on chapter 10, The Choices of Master Samwise. How appropriate. On page 728. The from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but it's book 4. uh, I hear this is going to be a new book coming out from JRR Tolkien, and it's going to be very interesting. Well, so everyone, please, 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 please pay attention to what's going on. There's little snippets of here and there going around. Um, yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and get the green screen up. Hmm. I'm going to make myself disappear. Boop. Okay. Frodo was lying face upward on the ground, and the monster was bending over him, so intent upon her victim that she took no heed of Sam or his cries until he was close at hand. As he rushed up, he saw that Frodo was already bound in cords, wound about him from ankle to shoulder, and the monster with her great forelegs was beginning half to lift, half to drag his body away. On the other side of him lay, leaning on the ground, his elven blade, where it had fallen useless from his grasp. Sam did not wait to wonder what was to be done, or whether he was brave or loyal or filled with rage. He sprang forward with a yell and seized his master's sword in his left hand. Then he charged. No onslaught more fierce was ever seen in the savage world of beasts, where some desperate small creature, armed with little teeth, alone will spring upon a tower of horn and hide, and stands above its fallen mate. Disturbed as if out of some gloating dream by his small yell, she turned slowly to the dreadful malice of her glance upon him. But almost before she was aware that a fury was upon her greater than any she had known in countless years, the shining sword bit upon her foot and shore away the claw. Sprang, Sam sprang in, inside the arches of her legs, and with a quick upthrust of his other hand stabbed at the clustered eyes upon her lowered head. One great eye went dark. Now the miserable creature was right under her. For the moment, out of the reach of her sting and of her claws, her vast belly was above him with its putrid light, and the stench of it almost smote him down. Still, his fury held for one more blow, and before she could sink upon him, smothering him, and all his little impudence of courage, he slashed the bright elven blade across her with desperate strength. But Shayla was not as dragons are. No softer spot had she save only her eyes. Knobbed and pitted with corruption was her age-old hide, but ever thicker from within, with layer on layer of evil growth. The blade scored with a dreadful gash, but those hideous foes could not be pierced with any strength of men, not though elf or dwarf should forge the steel or the hand of Baron or of Turin wielded. She wielded to the stroke and then heaped up with a great bag of her belly high above Sam's head. Poison frothed and bubbled from the wound. Now splaying her legs up, she drove her huge bulk down on him again. Too soon, for Sam still stood upon his feet, and dropping his own sword with both hands, he held the elven blade prior up a point upwards, fending off the ghastly roof, and so Shayla, with the driving force of her own cruel will, with strength greater than any warrior's hand, thrust herself upon a bitter spike. Deep, deep it pricked as Sam was crushed slowly to the ground. No such anguish had Shayla ever known, or dreamed of knowing. In all her world of wickedness, not the doughtiest soldier of old Gondor, nor the most savage or contract had thus endured her, or set blade to her beloved flesh. A shudder went through her, heaving up again, wrenching away from her pain. She bent her writhing limbs beneath her and sprang backwards in a convulsive leap. Sam had fallen to his knees by Frodo's head, his senses reeling in the foul stench. His two hands still gripping the hilt of the sword. Though the mist before his eyes, he was aware dimly of Frodo's face, and stubbornly he fought to master himself and drag to himself out of the swoon that was upon him. Slowly he raised his head and he saw her, only a few paces away, eyeing him in her beak, driving a spittle of venom and a green ooze trickling from below her wounded eye. There she crouched, her shuddering belly splayed upon the ground, the great bows of her legs quivering as she gathered herself for another spring, this time to crush and to sting to death. No little bite of poison to still the struggling of her mate, this time to slay and then to read. Even as Sam himself crouched, looking at her, seeing his death in her eyes, a thought came to him, as if remote voice had spoken, and he fumbled in his breast with his left hand, and found what he saw, cold and hard and solid it seemed to his touch, in a phantom world of horror, the file of Galadriel. Galadriel, he said faintly, and then he heard voices far off but clear. The crying of elves as they walked only the stars, any beloved shadows of the Shire, and the music of the elves as it came through his sleep in the hall of fire, in the house of Elrond. Get them near Elbereth, and then his tongue was loosed, and his voice cried in a language which he did not know. Elbereth Githunil, Monel Polan Glori, Le Nana Si Digrotos, A Tiro Ne Famulos. And with that, he staggered to his feet, and was Samwise the Hobbit, Ham's best son, again? Now come, you filth, he cried. You've hurt my master, you brute, and you'll pay for it. We're going on, but we'll settle with you first. Come on and taste it again. As if his abominable spirit had its potency in motion, the glass blazed suddenly like a white torch in his hand. It flamed like a star, that leaping from the firmament sears the dark air with intolerable light. No such terror of heaven had ever burned in Cheryl's face before. The beams of it entered into her wounded head and scored it with unbearable pain, and the dreadful infection of light spread from eye to eye. She fell back, beating the air with her forelegs, her sight blasted by inner lightnings, her mind in agony. Then turning her maimed head away, she rolled aside and began to crawl, claw by claw, towards the opening in the dark cliff behind. Sam came on. He was really like a drunken man, but he came on. The shadow cowed at last, shrunken at defeat, drunk and quivered as she tried to hasten from him. She reached the hole and squeezed down, leaving a trail of green yellow slimes. She slipped in, even as Sam hewed, and last struck at her dragging legs, and then he fell to the ground. Sheila was gone, and whether she lay long in her lair, nursing her malice and her misery, and then slowly used of darkness healed herself from within, rebuilding her clustered eyes until with hunger, like that she spun once more, her dreadful snares in the glens of the mountains of shadow. This tale does not tell. Sam was left alone. Wearily as the evening of the day was land, fell upon the place of battle, he called back to his master. Master, dear master, he said. But Frodo did not speak. As he had run forward, eager, rejoicing to be free, Sheila with hideous speed had come behind, and with one swift stroke had stung him in the neck. He lay now pale, and heard no voice, and he did not move. Master, dear master, said Sam, and through a long silence waited, listening in vain. And then, as quickly as he could, he cut away the binding cords and laid his head upon Frodo's breast and to his mouth. And no stern life could be found, nor feel the faintest flutter of the heart. Often he chafed his master's hands and feet and touched his brow, but all were cold. Frodo, Mr. Frodo, he called, don't leave me here alone. It's your Sam calling. Don't go where I can't follow. Wake up, Mr. Frodo. Oh, wake up, Frodo, me dear, wake up. Then anger surged over him, and then he ran about his master's body in a rage, stabbing in the air and smiting the stones, and shouting challenges, spurting when he came back, and bending looked at Frodo's face, pale beneath it in the dust, and suddenly saw that he was in the picture that was revealed to him in the mirror of Galadriel and Lorien. Frodo was with a pale face, lying fast asleep under a great dark cliff, or fast asleep, he had thought then. He's dead, he said, not asleep dead. As he said it, as if the words had set the venom to its work again, and it seemed to him that the hue of the face grew livid green, and then dark despair came on him, and Sam bowed to the ground and drew his gray hood over his head, and night came into his heart, and he knew no more. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop here on page 731. Laters, everyone. Stay safe, safe travels.